guys, so the main formula you want to learn today is that the selling price is equal to the purchase price plus the markup. So if I am like the owner of a store, what I purchase it for would be this part, right? And then when I go and sell it, I'm going to mark it up so that I can make money on it. So I'm going to mark it up and then I'm going to sell it on this side. So if it says retail, that's going to be the selling price, all right? Retail. So the purchase price of an item was $1,400. If the markup was 30% of the selling price, what was the selling price? So we're going to use this formula, and you definitely want to make sure you have that written down. So the selling price is equal to the purchase price, which is $1,400, and the markup was 30% of the selling price. So we're going to do 30% with the decimal of the selling price. So we're replacing the markup with 30% of x, which we don't know, but we're going to find. Since there's only one variable, we can just subtract 30% from both sides. And this is really like a 1s right here. So when we subtract, we have 70%. And divide both sides by 0.7. And what do you guys get? Anybody got it? Just $2,000? $2,000, okay? Make sure it makes sense. So if you bought it for $1,400, it makes sense that you would sell it for more money. So just make sure it always makes sense. You're selling it for more than what you bought it for, all right? Okay, the selling price for the sweater was $84. If the markup was 20% of the purchase price, what was the purchase price? So it's always going to be the selling price is equal to the purchase price plus the markup. So the selling price was $84. So now they're giving us what we sold it for. And the markup was 20% of the purchase price this time. Last time it was 30% of the selling price. This time it's 20% of the purchase price. So purchase price, we don't know. But the markup here is 20% of the purchase price. Okay, there's really a 1 in front of this P, so when we add them together, we have a 1.2 times P, and we divide by 1.2, and now we can find the purchase price of, anybody got it? Should be less than $84, right? All right, so $70 is what we paid before we sold it and made a profit. Okay. So just to make sure we understand, the selling price is $84, the purchase price was $70. What was just the markup then? $14, right? Just subtract, we marked it up $14. Just if they did ask, oh, they did actually ask that. What was the markup? That was it, $14. So it's just the difference here. We marked it up by $14 to make a profit. All right. The sedan retailed for $16,295. What was the purchase price if the car had been marked up 25% of the purchase price? So when you see retailed, that's the selling price. Okay, that's what I sell it after. So selling price is equal to purchase price plus markup. So selling price is $16,295. We're looking for the purchase price, and it was marked up 25% of the purchase price. So similar to the last problem, we just had a different vocab word in there with retailed. Okay. So $16,295. We're going to add these again. There's a 1 here, so 1.25p, and divide both sides by 1.25. And what was the purchase price? What'd you get?
1336.
Like that. Okay. All right, the cost of the machine was $1,400, and it was marked up $700 over what it had cost. What was the markup as a percentage of the selling price and as a percentage of the cost? So this is different. First thing we should find, though, is the selling price. So same formula. And this time, the cost, meaning like what we paid when we bought it before we marked it up and sold it. So that's the purchase price because it cost us that much money. And then we marked it up $700, which means that the selling price is $2,100, which we have to find in order to solve. So then what was the markup as a percentage of the selling price? We're just going to write a fraction and we're going to get a percent. And the fraction goes exactly in this order. So what was the markup as a percentage of the selling price? So markup goes on top as a percentage of selling price. So markup is $700 as a percentage of the selling price. We sold it for $2,100. That's a third. So the percentage that we get is 33.333%. So it's 33%. The markup is 33% of the selling price. Okay. And then the second question says, and as a percentage of cost. So we're talking about the same thing. What's the markup now as a percentage of cost? So the markup was $700, and the cost this time was $1,400. So it's 50%. The markup is 50% of the cost. So when it asks for that percent, we're just writing a fraction and making it a percentage.